Ere mai ngai wiki te pare whananga, ko te tika, ko te pono, ko te rangi marie, ko te korowai hei taua whie, ko te kupu kōrero, ko te mātauranga, mo te iti, mo te rahi, te katoa, haere mai.
Ki te whai au ki te ao mālama ti hei mauri ora. He apiti nuku, he apiti rangi. He whakaoti ngā aroha nā tō tātou ariki nui kuini ngā waihono i te pō. Takahi nei te nuku o te whenua, te kaua i ngā pale kaua kaua ki tana pāpā. Te kaua hoki i te kupu a tana pāpā ki te kotahitanga o te iwi, ngā iwi katoa. Tēnā koutou haere mai. Haere mai kia hau, kia tainui waka. Haere mai kia hau, ki te whare wānanga o Waikato. Haere mai kia hau, te pua wānanga ki te ao, e mihi nei kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou e kawe nā i o koutou tini āhuatanga. Ai, tēnei āhua ki te mātauranga. Mātauranga mo te iti, mo te rahi. Mātauranga ahakoa, he aha, te aha. Ko ia tērā te hualahi ki a pōpō. Nō reira, kei konei ngā kōrero mō a pōpō. Me te whai te kupu a te kingi ki te kotahitanga. Ko ia tēnei kōrero, tētahi hualahi pea ki taua kotahitanga. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. O te whare wānanga, o Waikato e tū mai nei, ko te tangata te tohu, ti hei mauri ora, Waikato te iwi, Waikato te awa, taupiri te manga, tainui te waka, ko te whare wānanga, o Waikato e tū mai nei, ko te tino kaupapa, he hora nā tauranga ki te ao. Ko ki! Apiti hono tātai hono, rātou te hunga mate, rātou kia rātou. Tātou te hunga ora, tātou e kawe nei i a rātou tikanga, i a rātou taonga. Tēnei taonga e mātauranga. E kawe tia nei ki roto i a koutou tātou katoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā hui hui tātou katoa. Ka huri.
A tēnā tātou. Ngā mihi kua mihia huri noa kia tātou i roto i tēnei whare. Really just to be a little bit of a guide as to the housekeeping of our whare. You would have heard my voice in Te Kōpūroa, just a reminder about our shoes, our no kai in our whare, and also no drinks. But welcome to our whare and welcome to this evening. Before we get underway this evening, just want to filming and the use of mobile phones are not permitted in our whare. We are live streaming the lecture this evening, so for those who have been unable to make it, they are able to watch online. Also, just a note around your nearest exit. While I did say that the doors will be locked, in the event of an emergency, they will be open. But we'll be testing my directional skills here. There is an exit on this side of the whare by the screen, and also on the entrance here to my right, to your left. and in the event of an emergency, we will vacate and move out into the car park, which is just out on to the side here. So we'll have staff directing you in that event. Again, thank you for being here this evening. It is cold, dark and wet, but looking forward to the warmth that will emanate from our professorial lecture this evening. Without further ado, it's my privilege to introduce the Vice-Chancellor of the University, who will then make his own comments and formally introduce Professor Tangiwai Rewi. Please give a warm welcome to Professor Neil Quigley. Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā koe Sarah, koroa ko Tom, tēnā koroa. Tā rangi e tūnei e te papa e te koto nei te whariariki o potato te wherawheru, pai māriri. E koro mā, e kui mā, e rau rangatira mā, tēnā koutou e tēnei ahi pō. Tēnā koutou i roto i ngā ahuatanga o te wā o Matariki. Nā reira, tēnā hui tātou katoa. This evening we gather to celebrate the academic journey of our distinguished colleague, Professor Rewi Tangiwai Rewi. No te iwi o Waikato, no ngā hapu o Ngāti Tipa, Ngāti Amaru, Ngāti Tahinga. Tangiwai spent her first 5 years amongst her people of Te Puaha or Waikato before moving to Atimauri with her dairy farming parents. She was then educated at Tirahanga Primary School and Queen Victoria School for Māori Girls in Parnell in Auckland. Tangiwai graduated with a Diploma of Teaching and Bachelor of Education from Hamilton Teachers College, the University of Waikato, in 1989 and took her first posting at Forest Lake School. In 1993, a parent approached her to gauge her interest in opening a kura kaupapa Māori, whakawātia, which she readily agreed to in 1994. Such was her desire to promote immersion education. In 1995, she was appointed to the inaugural principal role at Tōku Māpihi Māoria Kaupapa Māori here on Silverdale Road, where she stayed for 5 years. In 2000, she became a Māori liaison officer at the Ministry of Education, her role being to open kura kaupapa Māori, including the first immersion secondary school in New Zealand, Ngā Tai Atea. Meanwhile, as Pouharanga Mātauranga within the Ministry of Education, negotiating iwi partnerships for better outcomes for iwi and their descendants, Tangiwai became the schools and early childhood team leader for Otago and Southland, before returning to a national role managing a social marketing campaign keeping Māori youth in schools for longer. In 2008, Tangiwai took up a senior lectureship at Otago University, teaching Māori education within Māori Pacific and Indigenous studies. Fitting in part-time study to complete a Master of Indigenous Studies in 2006 and a PhD investigating how we learn, Tangiwai's research continues to document the need for preserving the narratives of Ruruhi and Koroheki for following generations. In 2021, she returned to the Ministry of Education before spending a year with the Ministry for Primary Industries, managing customary fishing rights alongside iwi nationally. We were then, of course, delighted to have Tangiwai join us as Te Ama Kapua here at Te Pua Wānanga ki te ao in November 2023. Her lecture this evening is titled Ai Rānei He Waka Eki Noa Mō Te Katoa. Is access and equal opportunity for all real? Title is drawn from the ubiquitous proverb He waka eki noa tēnei waka o te whae mātaranga. He rite tonu te uranga o te waka ki ngā pai o angitu mō ngā kaiho katoa. This suggests in the educational sense that there is a place for one and all, and that all who access this space have the potential to achieve at the same level. Professor Rewi's lecture tests the proverb and using the observations and experiences and learnings of her 35 years in various educational roles. E te aharangi, e te marakura Tangiwai, ke a koe te wā, nau mai hara mai, hau mai te pakipaki.
Ha kia tātou hoki, ngā waihotanga o rātou mā. Ka mihi rā te ngākau, kia koutou katoa, ko tai mai, ki te whakarongo ki ngā kōrero i te pōnei. I te tumuaki o tō tātou wharewananga, tēnā koe. Tai atu, kia koutou katoa, aku ruruhi, aku koroheke, ngā huanga, ko tai mai i te puaha Waikato, ngā hoa mahi o te wharewananga nei, tai atu ki ngā tamariki mokopuna, nei rā te reo rāhiri kia koutou katoa, ko tai i te pōnei. Mō hiwana koutou, taupiri te maunga, Waikato te awa, tainui te waka. Engari, ko Waikato hoki te iwi, me mihi hoki ki aku, era o aku maunga, mai ko te puke o tahinga ko one poto hoki. Kei te kite atu koutou, ēnei o ngā marae. Whakamarumaru nei i au i roto i ngā tau, ka timata ake i te taone nui o tuakau, ki te marae o ngā tai e rua. Me panoni au i aku mōwhiti te tai te kite i ngā kupu kei runga i taku mata. Awe, kino ake tērā. Ka tai atu, aro mai, ara. Ka tai atu ki te aomarahi, Ngāti Amaru tērā, te kotahi tāhotaku māma, te kotahitanga, kei konei ngā whānau, tāhotaku pāpā, haere tonu aki rā, whai ana i te io te awa, tai atu ki te tauranga o ngā waka, ki tauranga nui, ka tahi ka tai ki te puaho Waikato. Ana, kei reira o Rairo, ka whakawhiti ki toa whenua ki Pukerewa, kei konei ngā whānau, tau atu ki Weraroa. Katoa ēnei marae o te puaha, taku kāinga, e roto i ngā tau. Koinei ka ki ake au no ngā marae katoa o te puaha Waikato. These are the marae throughout my years that have nourished me along with my people. Koira au e ki ana ki te kotahi te kākaho ka whati, ki te kāpuia e kore e whati. Nā tō tātou kingi a tāwhia o tērā kōrero. Ka ngana au ki te kōrero i te reo Pākehā, mehe me ko tuhi ngā kōrero, kei runga i te mata i te reo Pākehā, ko ka puta mai ngā kupu i te reo Māori. I really will endeavour to speak English. If I switch to Māori, the words should be on our screen in English. Hoi anō, te reo rāhiri tēnei kia koutou katoa ko tai mai. So, you've heard the topic that I'm wanting to take us through tonight. He waka eke no, tēnei waka o te whai mātauranga. Is there a place for one and all to access education spaces? And for those who do, are they able to achieve the same? While by no means an exponent of waka sports, anyone can check with Hoturo Barclay Kerr. He was our first lecturer on waka here, and I know that there are others in this room, it's not just myself, that were the guinea pigs in his first class. Mihi ana ki a koe Hoturo. But in this kaupapa tonight, I have chosen to talk about, I thank you all for coming. I know it's a wet and dreary evening, mihi ana kia koutou. But sit back and relax. I hope you had an opportunity to take some refreshments before coming into our whare. So, I hope the waters remain calm for our journey ahead. I runga i ngā kupu o te tira hoi ki te hoi. So, our kōrero tonight. He kōrero tēnei mō ngā momo waka me te whakataurite i ngā waka ki te ao mātauranga. What I really want to look at is these different types of waka that are on our screen and compare them to different parts of our education sector. And I have been so privileged to work in all these different parts of the sector, and that's really what I want to share with you tonight, is a lot of those experiences. So there's a waka kōpapa, a waka ama, even though the one on the screen is two hulls, but I'll explain that a little bit further. The waka taua, this photo, and those of you from Te Ao Marahi will know who the kāpane of that waka is. It's our kororua, and then the waka haurua, tēnā koutou te tuki, te whānau o te tuki. Right, so for this journey, we're looking at these 4 different types of waka and comparing them to 4 different types of educational experiences across the sector that one might choose to have on this education continuum. So as this kaupapa dictates, we're testing whether one or all can access such education spaces, and if they do, whether they have the opportunity to achieve the same. So in each comparative, we'll be looking at 4 things: the design, the user, the purpose, and what contributes to success factors. One of the, I have been on a tira hoi, and one of the phrases that is used a lot in the tira hoi is toki hi, toki hi. All right, so let's have a look at the waka kōpapa. So the waka kōpapa, I'm going to compare this with the formative years of education. Right. Oh, aroa mai. The waka kōpapa. We're looking at the design, as I said, the user, the purpose, and its success factors. So, waka kōpapa, hollowed out of logs of a more shorter length. Okay, who are the users? In previous times, designed to be used by a variety of people, not just segmented for one particular type of user. What was the purpose of the waka kōpapa? In previous times, general use, really for moving small groups around, mostly rivers and harbours. So many types of paddlers for moving belongings around rivers and harbours. Right? To be successful at paddling these type of waka required paddlers to paddle in unison. Pretty much the same as today, aided by a rhythmic chant, much like the one that I just said to you, toki hi hi, toki hi hi. So here, at least in the Waikato, you will find nowadays school children paddling waka kōpapa, mostly and more likely at our regatta races held in March, and fiercely contested as depicted in this photo. Comparing this type of waka with education, I liken it to our formative years with early childhood and primary school, or kohanga reo, kura kaupapa, kura āiwi, where users can range right across this option from years 0 to approximately 12 years. The purpose? In kura, in schools, develop a student's individual needs in every aspect, holistically. What are the success factors? When we looked at the waka in terms of paddling and getting this waka to move forward, like we said, paddling in unison, that rhythmic chant. Success factors, in and across early childhood and primary school, the factors vary. Why do I say they vary? Because while access may be available to everybody, the opportunities that present differ greatly. Why? Ka tukua te pātai I konei, and I pose this question to us. Ko wai kei te huhuti I te punga. He aha te punga? Ko te punga I roto I te waka? It's the anchor. And you might say, does this type of waka have an anchor? Nowadays, we don't anchor these waka. We're paddling them at the regatta. It's a race. Who's going to get to the finish line first, right? But in terms of ko wai kei te huhuti te punga, who's the person pulling the anchor? This denotes for me who's doing the heavy lifting in terms of self-agency. What do I mean by self-agency? Who has the drive? Who has the determination? And who has the perseverance to succeed? Now, note that I'm not talking about the captain of the waka here. Of course, in the waka kōpapa, we don't have a captain on this particular waka. But the person, should that waka need to anchor, who's there to do the heavy lifting? Who's that person that's going to pull the anchor up? You see, for us, leadership comes in many different forms, but none is more important than that internal drive within a person themselves. A common saying is the busy people are the ones doing all the work. Right? You have to think about that. We're talking about early childhood. We're talking about primary schools. The busy people are the ones doing all the work. And another common phrase, if you wait for someone to come and do it, you'll be waiting forever. I look around the room, I see people here from the particular sector that I'm talking about here, and we're only in the waka kōpapa stage. Within communities that I've been privileged to work with across these sectors, in particular early childhood, licensing schools and centres right down in the Otago Southland end, kia ora koutou te hunga topa, te hunga hui ātopa, and I know that some of you are watching right from that end of the country. You know, I got to share with people who shared, and here as well, that their desires about wanting the best for their children, but that self-agency, that drive, that perseverance, that desire to succeed has got to come from people first themselves, with that conviction to achieve the goals that they want to set for themselves and their whānau. Not just for their whānau, for their centres, their schools and their community. So as I look around the room, an example comes to mind. Just down here, down the road, I see Whaia Sandy, I see Whaia Tere. Who else is in the room? From our whānau at Tokumapahi Mauria. Right? That's the example that I'm thinking about. About 30 years ago, several kauhuhuti punga, right? Several people who were prepared to pull those anchors collectively. And I know she's not here tonight. I'm thinking of Whaia Tirita, I'm thinking of the Johns whānau, many people who were associated here with this university, with the Kuratini as well. Too many to name, because I will miss people. Engari ko rātou, te hunga, kauhuhuti punga, they collectively made their aspirations a reality. Koutou katoa, te whānau o Tokumapahi Mauria. Koutou omua, koutou o tēnei wā, e tūohu ana. Oh, aro mai, I wareware ai te pēhi te pātene. So ko kōrero kē ki tēnei. All right, so the next waka that I want to look at is this type of waka. It's a waka ama, talking about the middle years. So the middle years I'm referring to here is really around the secondary year, but I want to talk about the waka first. So again, we're going back to design, user, purpose, success factors. So what's particular about the waka ama? There are so many waka experts sitting here. Make me nervous talking about waka. Okay, as you know, this is not a picture of a waka ama. Why? Because the waka ama denotes having an outrigger lashed normally to the left side of the hull. But sometimes, like this picture, two hulls are lashed together. The ama is a support for the canoe as a stabiliser and particularly assists with navigation. So this type of waka has come much more into prominence in the recent passing years, and it's much more of a whānau sport with users anywhere ranging from 8 to 80 years of age. We only have to look down the road to Karapiro in the early months of the year, around January, when we have the nationals that are held here every year. Again, paddling in unison gets the best out of moving this waka forward at speed, and it's always helped by a rhythmic chant. Toki hi hi, toki hi hi. And I know, having been part of the Titahoi in one of these type of waka, the best part about being in Titahoi, that's run by the iwi, was that you get to make up your own ditty, right? Your own little chants. So anyway, one that comes to mind was Tahirua toru wha, ko mātou te tīma tō ara, Tahirua toru wha, Tahirua toru wha. So the sector of education that I'm using as this comparative in the middle years is secondary school. So options available in English, Te Reo Māori, and notwithstanding alternative education, where the focus is still about developing a student's individual needs in every respect, realising the classroom is not always suitable for all learners and focusing on achieving some qualifications at an end period. Ko te pātai ia, right? And the question is, ko wai te kai uringi o te waka? Those from the waka fraternity know that the kai uringi is the steerer, right? Who's the steerer of the waka? So the point I want to accentuate here is the importance of collaboration, the importance of sound relationships, right? So we know that the kai uringi is the steerer, right? They have that steering paddle. So I'm settling on the steerer and their role. What do they need to be? An excellent communicator, doing things together, and and actually reaching the destination. They're not the people plotting the course, right? But more their role is getting you to that destination. If the steerer doesn't steer you in the right direction, you don't get to the destination that you want to go to. Right, so excellent communicator, doing things together to accomplish a goal. For the common good of a whānau, a school, a community and a hapu. Okay, I better press the button in case I forget to do that this time. So the example that I want to use to illustrate, and I'm so glad she is here in the room tonight, kai he koe tāna, Tanya Martin. Again, this is how 9 whānau, I only know this because I was by that stage part of the ministry, and I also want to acknowledge Mr. Graham Kito, a colleague from the time my job was to set up kura kaupapa. My example, 9 whānau banded together from around the Waikato to collectively establish ngā taiatea, knowing that not one of the 9 of these little kura whānau had the ability or the capacity to establish at that time as a wharekura on their own, too small. And after repeatedly having the application turned down for various reasons, after 6 successive years, that collective strength across the group found success, being that first kura of its kind, a kura te reo Māori secondary, to be established. And last year, ngā taiatea celebrated their 20th birthday. Hoia tonu atu, keep paddling. So, what accelerated or enabled this to happen? Ko te kai uringi, the steerer, a person, a core group. Ko tana kaha ki te tuitui i ngā hononga i wainga i ngā whānau. The ability to establish, cement and maintain strong relationships across a number of years in this case to accomplish a common goal. That common goal, establish that Te Reo Māori secondary school option in Hamilton City. So Te whānau Johns, Lenny Johns, engari, ko te katoa o Aua Kura. There were 9 different whānau in that little core group that were needed to establish that kura e mihi ana. Okay, so a different kind of waka. He wakataua tēnei. If we're talking about wakataua, a wakataua, to me, and at least in the analogies I'm using today, is the most prestigious of the fleet that I'm going to be talking about. It's the longest. At times it could be up to 30 metres long in length, hence it being made of at least 3 sections of hollow logs lashed together. E hoa mā, just think about what it took, right? No nails, no glue, lashed together, right? These waka are innately adorned with intricate carvings on their tauihu, on the bow and on the taurapa, the stern. Common as the means of transporting large war parties in days past, wakataua mostly feature at ceremonial important celebrations these days, such as the regatta here on our own awa, or up north in Waitangi, on Waitangi Day. But once again, success factors in getting this type of waka moving forward, you know it, paddling in unison. I really don't have any other beat in my head except at this moment, toki hi hi, toki hi hi. Along with haka, and those of you who come off waka will know that ko Waikato inganguru nei i ha. So my comparative is with tertiary in the education sector for this waka, where a number of tailored courses are available in English and Te Reo Māori with a number of providers. Better press the button. Some have entry criteria while others have open access. A choice of obtaining formal qualifications or simply expanding knowledge or gaining knowledge prevails as the main reason people might opt in to this type of educational choice. Once again, however, success is varied. Kei konei au ka tuku te pātai, and I pose this question, ko wai te kai whakatere? So, a kai whakatere is a navigator. So the role of the navigator, not to steer the waka, the role of the navigator is to plot the course, set the destination, right? Ko te tangata mātai whetu, that's the reader of the stars. So in my mind's eye, you've got the kaiurungi, the navigator, setting up relationships, making sure there's sound relationships. So that person is the relationship manager. Here, in this role, I think, to my way of thinking, the navigator is more the governance manager. Right, their role is not the captain, and there's a reason I'm not talking about the captain. Right, for me, the captain is the people manager. But moreover, this person, the kai whakatere, this person is the strategist, the person who sees the bigger picture, the person who sets the course and then fills in the other people, depending on what their roles are about what they need to do. But that interchange, however, that between those roles is critical. Without cohesive management, things can only go one of 2 ways. But I say, hoia tonu rā, paddle on. That brings us to a waka haurua. So for me, we're still in the tertiary sector, but as you guessed it, a waka haurua, that's a waka that's destined for further places. So I like to think of this as in the tertiary sector, that's the international part, right? The international part. David, I know you're in here. Okay, so that final waka is a waka haurua. Some people may refer to it as a waka unua, so the double-hulled canoe that we can see here, or a catamaran. Again, fashioned from 2 hollow logs with a large platform that's lashed between them and often rigged with 2 sails. So this vessel can house up to or hold up to 20 sailors and is best known as an ocean voyaging canoe. So this waka can traverse long distances and navigate rough seas. He tangata mātai whitu, mātai whenua. So a person knowledgeable, as I said before, in reading the stars and reading the land is definitely advantageous to have as a crew member on board. So comparing again with the tertiary sector, or the latter years in education, the comparative I use is looking at the international spectrum. And note, once again, tailored courses are on offer, and in English, but not necessarily te reo Māori, but I'm looking at more further afield in terms of Indigenous studies, with entry criteria attached. So these contribute to higher education qualifications with, again, varied success factors. How high? Why? Ko te pātai ia, ko wainga kaihoi. As we know, the kaihoi are the paddlers. So who are the team members or the paddlers? Referenced earlier, these are the people who fall directly under the captain's command. However, the captain is still not under the spotlight. We're not talking about the captain in a particular role yet. The focal point for me is on the team working together and creating an environment of cohesion, committed to each other, respecting each other. So this can only be achieved if they are paddling together, working together, supporting each other. E haere ana tēnei waka ki ta whiti nui, ki ta whiti roa, ki ta whiti paumamao. So there's a big journey ahead. There's a long journey ahead. There's a distant journey ahead. And for that waka to get there, that paddle, right, must dip and rise as one, even though on this one they rely on the sails. He oi, kei te haere ki ta whiti. Nā reira ko te kōrero ki kōnei, hoi, whakamua. Right, keep moving forward. So let us recap. Oh, aro mate. Is there a place for one and all to access education, and for those who do, are they able to achieve the same? So as we know from the examples that were put up, aro mate, in terms of access, in the main, yes. In terms of achieving the same or equal opportunity, as we heard, they're varied, hence the emphasis on these 4 points. So the first one, te kai huhuti punga, that's that self-agency, pulling the anchor, lifting the weight, and also taking on leadership, but at different levels. That's not leadership in terms of a captain's role. All the members knowing what the destination of success looks like. Why? Because they set the goals for themselves and define success for themselves. Secondly, te kai urungi, right? The kai urungi, that is the steerer, the navigator, the collaborator, the builder of strong relationships, the excellent communicator, bringing people together to get things done, keeping people on the path to achieve the goal, to reach the destination. Okay, and thirdly, we had a look at te kai whakatere, the navigator, the governance manager, the big picture seer, the reader of the stars, the person whose job is to plot the destination for the team, the strategist. And then finally, we had a look at ngā kaihoi. This is the paddlers, the crew. We have to know each other, we have to understand each other, we have to respect each other and commit to each other in order to reach the destination. Okay, so taking a little break for a minute, just to share that everybody has a different definition of what success looks like, So I just want to pick up 3 different pictures. So for some people, this is the picture of success. This is a very old picture, by the way. For some people, making sushi and completing the task That's a picture of success. For some people, learning the poi, even though she is not here tonight, looking at te whare wānanga o Waikato from 30 years ago, singing rongomai by the looks of it, and copying the actions, there's a picture of success. The marae at Painoiho and a nephew learning a whai kōrero, that's a picture of success. A nephew being appointed a prefect at Hatopaora School this year, that's a picture of success. Te Matatini, February this year, filling our tent with rangatahi, singing songs. It really was a picture of success because they were trying to win a guitar from this university. That was definitely a picture of success last year. And you can see one of our nieces on the right-hand side of the photo. She's not here, but her proud parents are. That's a picture of success. Somebody completing, making a picture out of Lego. Another picture of success, one of our students completing their kono. This was definitely a picture of success. You can tell because our ihorangi Māori was a part of the winning team. At a quiz run by Te Pua Wānanga, and actually our Tari Māori and our DVC Māori. Here's another picture of success for me at one of our pokai. It looks like it's at Te Ao Marahi, with everyone practising and sharpening up their skills of waiata to welcome our iwi in to kai. I don't know if this is a picture of success, but the success here was we finished climbing Mauao. So I would say it was definitely a picture of success because we made it down the mountain again. That's Te Tohu Paitahi in Tauranga. And the last one, I would say this is a picture of success, watching somebody, is that you, Toro? Beat their defender. So, as we know, success takes many different forms. Again, kei a koe te tikanga, everybody has their own picture of success. And I know my time is nearly up, but I just want us to recap again on the key points being talked about today. That first one, as you know, te kaihuhuti punga. Who's doing the heavy lifting? Right? That's around self-agency and that leadership, that self-determination within yourself, for your whānau, for your organisation that you're a part of, for your school, for your community, for your hapu. The second one, te kai urungi. That is the steerer, right? The person that I'm saying, is in charge of building those sound relationships within whichever organisation that you belong to. The third one, the kai whakatiri, that's the strategist, that's the reader of the stars, that's the person who plots the destination. It's not their job to get you there, that's the kai urungi, right? And note, we're still not talking about a captain of any waka yet, okay? So that's around that cohesive governance. Right, so if you think about the kai urungi as being the manager, the management of relationships, the kai whakatiri is that governance of those relationships, sitting in that role. And then the last one is the committed team, right? And we did say, making a reference, I did say that captain is the people manager. But this is what I want for you to think about and leave with. So I'm asking once more, is there a place for one and all to access education, and for those who do, are they able to achieve the same? I've worked across all these different spaces for a number of years, And these are my experiences that I'm sharing with you tonight, having had to think hard about tēnei kaupapa, te waka eke no. You know, most people use the saying to mean we're all in this together, but do we all achieve at the same level? But this is, you know, like I've said, yes, the access is there, mostly, yes, in all the examples that we've had a look at. But the achievement, do we achieve the same? And I will still say that remains varied because of all the reasons that I've talked about. What I do know is this: there are specific roles for all in that waka. There are specific roles for everybody in this waka. But we can't all be passengers along for a scenic ride, right? We cannot. At each workplace, everybody is recruiting for one of these roles, In every workplace, you think about it, where do you work now? Everybody is recruiting for one of these roles. Everybody should be a kaihoi, at the very least, is a kaihoi, a paddler in that waka. Or else that waka is just going to go round in circles, right? At each workplace, everyone is recruiting. But think about the 4 roles that are being discussed here. What I want to know is, and what I want you to think about and leave with is this: what is your role? What is your role? Can you define your role? Can you claim your role? Do you know your role? And if you do know your role, can you go away and confidently carry out your role and do your role? Because the final thing I want to close with is this: there is one thing I know for sure. We can't all be captains. We can't all be captains. It's that captain, the captain that I talk about, and I've not talked about at all this whole kōrero, is the people manager. And I will leave you with that as a closing thought. But just before I do finish, there are a number of people in the room, and through all the experience I've had and the different research spaces that I've been privileged to work in, he mai aroha tēnei ki ngā pau o taku whare rangahau. E rongo koutou ko taku rangahau e aro ana ki tēnei kaupapa. How do we learn? How do we learn? Nā reira, aha ko wehe atu rātou, ko moe o rātou kanohi, e mihi ana ki a rātou. Uncle Honi tērā, Nani Rari tērā, Nani Iti, Matua Piripi Crown, me tana teina Eric, Nana Rau o te huia, Uncle Mina, Koromotu, Auntie Hira, Tuku Pāpā Tipene, Nani Rina Ngā Taki, tai atu hoki ki te tautoko o taku hungawai a Joe. Me etahi atu a ko kari konei mihi ana ki a rātou ngā pau i roto i taku whare rangahau. An kei konei tonu o te 15 i koha mai o rātou whakaaro ki te tautoko, how do we learn? Kei konei tonu o te 15 ko te tokorima, kei konei tonu. Taku māma, uku kaihanga mai a rau ko Eugene, oku hoa Glenda, rau ko Wanei. E te iwi, aku rahi, aku iti, tēnei te mihi mai oha ki a koutou katoa, e karamihi o te ngākau, ko puta mai koutou. Ki te tautoko, enei oku whakaaro, kohinga whakaaro, ki te tuku atu ki a koutou i te pōnei. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Te whānau o te puaha, hana mai.
Hara mai, Missy. Hana mai tēnei.
She was
Anyone, one or the other,
Just whatever.
whatever she strums. Okay, Māori.
E tū tēnei ki mai tō aroa, kona mai o taika ara te mā. Hei arahi, ko te rongo ki te reo e tangi nei, ka mau te ia o te whakaaro, taku te ruha. Ka hao te rangatahi, Whakaari o te puaha o Waikato. Gloria ki a koe e te atua, nā te hoi ora whakata, a koa ngā piki ngā heke. Me ngā taumahatanga o te auturi, ka hoki ki te mauri o te puaha Waikato. Whakataka mai te wairua, mahana o te puaha o Waikato. Ko te mai e iti nei, ki a tātou katoa, ko te awa Waikato. Gloria ki a koe e te atua, nā te hoi ora whakata, aha koa ngā piki ngā heke. Me ngā taumahatanga, ko te auhuri, ka hoki ki te mauri, ko te puaha Waikato. Ko te puaha Waikato. Ko te puaha Waikato.
O tēnā no tātou, nei rā te mihi ki a koe e te ahorangi a Tangiwai mo tō kōrero, mo tō kauhau, me o whakaaro ki te kaupapa i tēnei pō, tēnei te mihi. Huri noa ki a tātou te whare, nei anō te mihi ki a tātou. Part of my role is really just to provide some kind of closing comments, and as I was listening to your presentation, I was reminded of my own journey on the tira, and we were on the waka mawaki nui a rangi, so for those of us who have experienced the tira hoi, it's not competitive at all. There's, nothing like being on your own awa, learning the histories of the awa, but also being in sync and in coordination with people who are from the same place that you are. So thinking about what success looks like, and I look around this room and I see the generations that you have shared with us, and the generations in terms of early childhood right through to tertiary and beyond to international. I also see the generations of the research that you didn't quite touch on in depth, but of your koroheke and ruruhi, and I see them here in the room. And I also see the mokopuna, so reaching back to our mokopuna, but also upwards, thinking about the knowledge holders of our kui, of our kaumātua, and what that means for us in the context of success as we are trying to navigate the space that is education and try and understand what success looks like for all of us. So I think also looking at the photos that you shared, success can be seen as both an individual and a collective exercise. But in bringing everybody here this evening, I think back to ki te kotahi te kākoho ka whati, ki te kāpuia e kore e whati. What you have done this evening and what you have shared with us this evening is indeed that when we come together with a common sense of purpose, success is indeed ours. Those bonds are indeed unbreakable. So on behalf of us at Te Whare Wānanga Waikato, please join me in thanking Ahorangi Professor Tangiwai Rewi for her contribution at her inaugural Professorial lecture. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening. Hopefully we return to our homes reinvigorated, definitely with some thoughts to ponder. Wish you all safe journeys home, and I would like to take this opportunity now to pass back to Ahorangi Tom Rua to close our evening. Kia ora mai tātou.
Nō reira tōia mai te waka te mātaura. Mā wai e tō, māna, mā au, mā whakatau. Te ara wai nuku, te ara wai rangi. Tinia, monoa, nau mai e tāne. Whakatau mai. Ki tēnei karanga. Tōia mai. Kumea mai. Ki te urunga, ki te moenga, ki te whaktoranga i tako toa i te waka. Tēnei waka, ki te kore e ngātahi te hoe, ka pakaru. Tēnā koutou tā tātou noho ngātahi, te whakalongo heo tira, te tautoko i ngā kōrero a te ahorangi Rewi, Tangiwai, Rewi ho mai te pakipaki. Me te yuhu, yuhu. Nō reira hei whakakapi noa i tā tātou hui, kia tau kia tātou katoa. Te ata whai o tō tātou ariki ai hiukaraiti te aroha te atua. Te whakawhiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairu atapu, ake, ake, ake. Āmene. Oh, kua whakamaumaharatia mai. There is a hangi. Hare mai tātou ki te kai, ki te canopy. Second floor, ōrunga. Kōpū. Oh, ki te kōpū roa. Kōpū. Ah. I read my message wrong. Hai mai tātou ki te kai, whakawhiti-whiti kōrero, noho ngātahi. Kia hotahi te wairua, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Kia ora hui hui tātou katoa.